Okay, let's try this one more time. This is the regularly scheduled meeting of the Warren Planning Board, January 27th. It is now
Okay, let's try this
6:35.
One more time.
We're going to have the roll
This is
call.
the regularly scheduled meeting of the Warren Planning Board, January
This is a
27th.
variable lag. The last time I
it
had
is
this, I was with Ken
6:35.
Kesey on the Merry Pranksters
We're gonna have
bus.
the roll
and,
call. This is the regularly scheduled meeting of the Warren Planning Board, January 27th.
This is a variable lag.
The last time I had this, I was with Ken Kesey on the Merry Pranksters bus. and, Regularly scheduled meeting of the Warren January 27th. Variable lag. The last time I had this, I was with Ken Merry Pranksters bus.
Okay, for the roll call, if Michael Gerhard will not be here, he's under the weather. That's an excused absence.
Okay.
For the roll
start
call,
with
Rick,
if,
our alternate is sitting
Michael
in for Mike.
Gerhard will not be.
He's under the weather. That's an excused absence.
Okay.
Start with Rick,
Our
our Great. Thank you very much, sir.
Evening, Neil Durrani, professional land surveyor, president of Binary. So just a little bit on the background, as Attorney Rizzo said, we had initially submitted a version of this with this property line here.
Excuse me,
Yes.
did you slide that entire chart over to the far wall?
Yep.
Right there, that's good.
Good. So the existing boundary line between the westerly abutter and our site was initially submitted as a version of 7 feet further into the abutter's property. Once this was filed, the abutter rightfully noticed that it looked right. Found some records that were recorded in the building and the zoning office. So not land evidence records, but evidence of prior CRMC permits, et cetera. So we went back out to the site using those records that they found. Our surveyors dug and found a couple of old property monuments that ensure that we were on the right track. We modified the plan. There's no loss of property here. This is on the plat, so there's a DOT group taking on one side. So, in essence, there was never a loss of land. We were really just kind of shifting around where it would go. Regardless, feel this version is correct. It lines up with the line of occupation for the large hedgerow. So I feel confident that's the right spot. As Attorney Rigo said, the issue we're here to correct is the previous thing. So we placed the line as best we could to try to split the use areas between those two structures. So you can see it's off the apartment building, which is the larger building you see there, and it's single family house. So I think we placed this in a spot that sort of, minimizes nonconformities as much as we can, but there are still 4 variances that we require. To achieve this, we put the front setback, the side setback, the rear setback, and I would say some of that most importantly about the lot size. What we provided for that smaller parcel is 4,206 square feet, which is significantly shy of the required 3,000 square foot. And again, that's due to this pre-existing non-conformity. So again, we're seeking an approval of the subdivision and the associated variances. We're not really structure stage. One issue that was raised, I believe, by the solicitor, Attorney Rigo informed me, there is a garage door associated with that apartment building. I'll point out here. I just spoke with the owners. They don't use that as an actual structure cars driving in there on a day-to-day basis. I feel there's more than sufficient pedestrian access there. They have 5.5 feet up to the building to move things to get there. Should the need arise to provide vehicular access there, I don't think anyone is to exploring that property. I don't think that's an issue, for the planning board because they own the property, right? The parcel still have active parking, in my opinion. Large parcel has a large gravel yard probably. The smaller parcel, I would say, for at least 3+ cars. The landscape island. I'm happy to field any questions. I hope this request is fairly straightforward. Maybe I have variances. C100.
The shared driveway or the easement, I think that would probably be a condition of acceptance of this, because at this point, does the applicant intend to sell one of these buildings or one of these parcels? Is that
I think whether they do or not in the short term, that's obviously on the table once this is completed.
right?
So I think if you're looking to the future, that's certainly a possibility.
Yeah, see, I had the opposite, not that we would want an easement, but in the event that these two parcels are sold, then having an easement causes problems for the future.
Well, I mean, if that's the question,
Because you
whether or
can't
not,
guarantee that they're gonna
if
sell them separate.
if they're willing at this point to accept an easement, it would mean that that building would be accessible for vehicular traffic to that garage. That would be the idea behind the easement.
I would
They own
almost say it
both the
can't be a
properties.
garage. My feedback would be it just can't be a garage. There's no vehicles and they're kind of stuck with it because just in looking for the future, I could see somebody here in 20 years saying, well, I just bought this property and they're using it as a driveway.
If I may.
Sure, yeah.
Into, acquisition, I would advise the client accordingly. An easement to move the car, parking there, obviously, the lot is very small. Parking there, parking elsewhere, so it could make sense if they needed access to the garage. Easement to go into that for that purpose. And I don't think it'd be an objection. That can be done by meets and bounds. When this goes on record, a deed could be placed, which actually reserves that access.
Clearly, we're talking about a sub-sized lot for where the house is, but again, as you pointed out, this is right now, I mean, through some error on the part of the town, clearly, when the buildings went up, this wasn't caught, and the buildings were put inappropriately relative to the property lines. So we're trying to fix
I
the,
would imagine that the buildings came before the zoning was all set up. So it was probably just an overlay that was put down after the buildings were there, which is, a common problem.
I believe that that's exactly right. I think we've structured pretty good.
The properties were also purchased by through an estate, and in the estate, there was owners that came into play, so there was like one parcel or one compound per se, and then we really paid attention at the time, but there've been issues with not having surveys, exactly, just putting it up.
right. Okay, other questions, concerns?
There were two notifications to the abutters in the package that we received. It looks like maybe some of the abutters were missed on the first package because both parcels weren't, there were two different abutter notice dates in the
I
package.
believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that's because the first version of this plan was incorrect. Well, now we know it's incorrect property line was advertised. That's the case. And that's the reason.
It changes the dimensions, so you pick up within the 200 feet, a few extra parcels to make sure everyone's.
And I just want to make sure that everyone did get notice with that second notification, because the first notification skipped a couple
Well,
of
the
months.
notices are normally given by the town, so once the town is given those dimensional
Okay.
radiuses, the town will bring a few extra properties into the notice.
Okay, thank you.
One question, with your easements that you're requesting, does that affect any of the abutters?
In my opinion, no. I mean, I'm gonna point out where I go. So I think it would go in that area, pretty central to the property, and I don't think the easements would be counter to the way that the property functions already.
Now, that area is gravel, so it's relatively wide, so we just be mindful of the turn. You can go there, but don't park on it. That would be a concern. The other possible.
Yeah, and it would be a condition of the easement.
Yeah, just.
Well, what about once you run out of gravel to get around to the garage door? Is that grass or gravel?
Grass.
right in front of the garage door is grass, that's correct.
So you're gonna have to go over somebody's lawn.
You would, and again, I think we're planning for the future here. Right now, it is not used as a garage, but again, if we're conceptually future, then I think the surface is.
Why not take the garage down since you're not using it?
Well,
it's
you
not
don't
being used as a garage, but it is being used for storage.
Right.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I think my bigger concern about the easement is in the future, if that parcel is sold separately, somebody has every right to put a fence up on their property line and therefore is the easement, you know what I mean? So I think it's,
Well, they
my,
wouldn't have
like,
the
I
right
have
if
no
there's
problem
an
with,
easement.
like, I'm gonna be honest, I have no problem how it is now. Like, obviously, they're using it this way. It doesn't change anything. It doesn't affect anybody because the property is being used this way anyways. We're just changing the lines. I'm just looking at the future and saying, okay, they decide that, you know, or somebody after them decides they want to sell these two separate and the smaller parcel to put that there is a mandatory easement, I think could cause problems, say, in the future, if you ever want to divide those parcels and try to sell them and tell somebody that, no, you can't put a fence up here because somebody's gonna back their truck up maybe.
But if you're selling a property, easements run with the deed, so it's gonna, with the title, so it's gonna be reflected on what you're buying. You're gonna know
Right.
your access and
Yeah,
ingress.
and I'm just kind of putting it out to the property owners that, you
Yeah.
know, in the event that you want to dispose of one or the other or your future do.
Can I say something? We're not gonna use the garage. I mean, obviously the building.
Wait a second, yeah, you need to come up and identify yourself and give your
I'm the
address.
owner of 8 and 9 Palm Avenue, Umberto Rico. And another thing I want to say is the first 2 years when we bought the property, everything, the taxes were all together. And after 2 years, the town separated the taxes without even notifying us. And we're just wanting to come to a point now that we want to sell the 9 Palm Avenue, and that's why we're going through this. As far as that garage is not used as a garage, and there's no way to use it as a garage because you can't drive a car in it. It's used as a storage. That's the way it is.
I don't know if anyone can see the picture from here. It's worth noting that there are 2 garage doors that
Yeah.
function like right next to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The way they made the building is garages on the bottom.
Yeah.
And the apartments on top.
Yeah, no, I've seen it. Yeah, again, it's really, you know, it's the only reason I'm mentioning it is because you brought up the fact that there is a garage door there. And the only way to deal with that, if you want to have that, would be to have an easement to make it more attractive to the person who owns the larger building.
But if I made the easement for the benefit of the parcel that has the garage.
Right.
If there's an easement there, it's a benefit of both worlds. If not, they'll utilize it.
Right, right. I mean, it's entirely, this isn't something that we would mandate by any means. It's a matter really of saying, okay, well, if you don't have the easement, then you don't have access from the street to that particular garage. That's all. I mean, it's a decision that can be made by the applicant, and it's not, it would be conditional if you were planning on having it. Because, you know, we don't want to have this as a separate entity to be dealt with at some later date. So it's,
Right, Mr. Chair, and also,
Sure.
One of the site plans that were presented as part of the package, I'm not sure exactly which one this is, it says a shared gravel drive.
right,
That language is why we brought up an easement. If you're gonna have a shared gravel driveway, and then recommendation from legal is gonna be an easement. If you want to take that out and put on the record that there's no shared driveway there, but there's one there, that's my recommendation.
If I may, that term shared gravel driveway is accurate for the present condition of the parcel, right? But the shared is just a reflection of the existing condition. It's not a reflection of intent to use that driveway for both parcels. And if I can say so, I think discussing the easement and, you know, letting the owners and the potential buyers, you know, think about it is worthwhile, as long as it's not going to be a requirement for it to have it. I think that makes sense, but I'm happy to have it be noted that the driveway itself in the proposed subdivision, which is not intended.
The recommendation is to remove it from the site plan, those words in order to be recorded, because otherwise it doesn't, there's no legal way. Once it's shown as an easement, it's just. everything down- down.
That's very fair.
I've got one more question. On the north side of the smaller house lot, you've got a shed. Yep. Whose is it? What property does it belong to?
Belongs to the single family house.
Right.
The lot line is,
Okay. And the one that's to the west of it?
to the west would belong to the apartment building.
No,
yes.
Oh,
To the
west.
west.
I'm so
Yeah,
sorry.
that's another,
on the-
that's an abutter.
Talking about this one here?
No.
No, the other one.
This one here.
Yeah, that's an
Oh, I'm so
abutter.
sorry. Yes, this belongs to the abutter. It's fully on their property.
Oh,
not
okay.
ours.
It didn't show it on the plans here that it was a property.
Oh,
It's part of the existing conditions,
all right, it's,
so it has to appear on the plan.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, then, as Allison had indicated, I think taking that shared gravel driveway out eliminates the potential issue, and it could be worked out later as long as it's not there now, because it would create problems in the future, the way it is presented. So the condition would be to take that out. That work for everybody, or?
I think it works, yes. I can see
Good.
that in terms.
Okay, yeah, no, this seems like a fairly straightforward rectification of something that was, not handled particularly well in the past, but we run into that more times than I'd care to think. I'll make a motion to,
How about objections?
Can I speak?
We need to open the public.
oh, sure,
Motion for public hearing?
yeah, motion to open the public hearing, sorry. Second, second, all in favor? Aye. Sure.
My name is Bill Sandratch. This is my property here. It's listed as 72. And I wouldn't have known about any of this if I hadn't gotten a nice letter from this board that told me about it, which I appreciate. It was, in the mail, and when I opened it up, it said I could go to the website, pull up all the information, which my wife did, which is the time we discovered that 7 feet of our land was being incorporated into our butters property, which alerted us that we have a problem.
Right.
As all of you property owners would also come to the same conclusion, I'm assuming, right? And we got a plane, we flew up here from Florida, because this is just a summer place we have. We don't live here year round. And if it wasn't for Allison, it was nice, and Allison, right? Alyssa, it was Alyssa who allowed me access to the property card in the building department. And in there, I found an old survey. I think it was South Cone Engineering, but it wasn't stamped. It was, all the information was deleted except for the meets and bounds of the survey. And on that document, it indicated what this now indicates. The property line is here, 5 feet away from my abutter's property. Now, I don't intend to sell my house. I'm not here to object to the subdivision. I'm here because I was notified that 7 feet of my land belonged to my abutter. Alyssa, Allison. Alyssa.
I'm Alice.
Oh, okay, that's why I got confused. Anyway, if I wouldn't given access to that card, I wouldn't have found out what happened. I went to Neil's surveying company, was it Narragansett?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And I explained to them and showed them the document that I found in the card. And at least, eventually you ended up investigating what was going on. You said you had started in the wrong positioning. I think that's what Andy told me. You had worked your way in for Market Street somehow.
You can come in.
Yeah, anyway. you're feeling confident this is the right property line, right? Because what my concern is I'm not selling, but eventually our children will sell. You know, just as your children will sell your land. And what I want to eliminate is any kind of discrepancy about where this property line is in the future.
Well, our decision here would carve that in stone.
That's good, because will it also be in the record card that?
Yeah.
Alyssa
Oh,
needs?
absolutely.
A copy of this survey will be in the record card, is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, so it's because we're kind of talking about this side of the line, not that side of the line. So I guess he wants to make sure that we reevaluate both his property line as this and put that in the record, plus the moving of the new property line as well.
But
Is that-
if I hadn't seen that old
Can we do
survey,
that?
I wouldn't have flown up here. Nothing would have changed at the last meeting in December. And of course, by me not opening up my mouth, this becomes the new property line. Right?
Not
Well,
necessarily.
you could-
Yeah, it wouldn't change the
Right.
property line. It would just be a cloud on title of that
Not-
property
not-
line.
The leaps and bounds is there.
If I did find out later, I would have to go to Superior
It would
Court to
be
straighten it out, right?
potentially-
Correct?
Correct.
Correct? Right? Who wants to go to Superior Court? How much is that gonna cost?
Well, that's why we have public hearings and notices. given.
Well, it's already cost me 2 flights up from Florida, right?
If the original subdivision had. to-
But you got to see snow?
So,
I saw it on the ground.
sir, can I ask you a question
Yeah.
real quick? Sir,
Can we, hold on? Go ahead, Blake.
can I ask you a question? So you spoke with the engineers, you referenced a property card, the engineers, do you agree with the engineers based on the property card that this is the appropriate property line?
The survey that I found matches this survey.
Okay, so you're pretty confident along with the engineers that this is accurate in regards to your property line?
Well, I feel much better about this than I did the original survey.
Do you have any intentions of bringing a surveyor on to confirm that, or are you okay?
You want
Like,
me to pay more?
No, we don't want you to.
What's up with Florida?
I don't want to hold everyone up, so I want to see, like, are you?
No, no, the only
are
reason
you
I'm
okay
even
with
speaking
this?
to the board is to make sure this gets incorporated into the record card.
Sure.
Because if this isn't on record in the record card, my children are not surveyors.
Yeah, no, this is,
And
I
they're
mean,
not gonna go
this-
check any other. record.
This
They
is-
Check the record card, as I did,
Right.
and if I hadn't found that old survey of the record card, none of this would have taken place.
no, and I appreciate the
Well,
background.
You
the
don't
homework.
appreciate it as much as I do.
No, of course, but still, it is, we've run into this before. I mean, record keeping in the town can sometimes be,
Somebody takes away 7 feet of my land.
but this is,
That's not
but we've
good.
got it, we're there, this becomes,
caught it.
this is history,
I caught.
right?
And so I want to place my position of my children in the future so that they can catch any dispute.
No.
I think my question is, so I am looking at the GIS map. It runs on the GIS map. It runs to the property line as is, and our records run directly through his home. And so can we right now move that, or does this need to be a
No,
completely
no.
separate thing because of?
Can I say something? So
What property line runs directly through my home? This is news to me.
The tax
original.
assessor's GIS mapping is notoriously wrong in this neighborhood. And no one should rely on it. It actually says on the tax maps, do not rely on for conveyance of property. But the
Well, how do
tax,
we correct that?
it's not a survey. It's just an assessed, it's just something that helps you visualize the parcels.
Well,
So-
Mr. Maderis just said that there's a property line.
No,
Yeah, and
it's
on
it's
the-
just on,
the
it's just,
mapping. And so what I'm saying is, we want to make sure that the property is surveyed the right dimensions.
can I say something? We, in my opinion, Chairman, you can correct me if I'm wrong. We are not, as planning board, assuming responsibility for your legal certification of your property
I
lines.
don't expect.
So we can say that we, based upon our observation of what's being presented, it seems reasonable for us to come to a conclusion about what's being done. But the applicant has a surveyor, and you can have a surveyor, you can have a lawyer, you can bring whatever professional expertise you want to bring to the table to certify and protect yourself. We can only say that we're doing the best we can, but that doesn't remove the possibility there could be potential disputes later when more information is, I don't envision that. I'm
The
just
only
saying
reason why I'm
that's,
coming to speak
it sounds like you want us to confirm
I
in
want
this
you to put
hearing
this
that
in the
we
record
had.
card
Yeah.
So what was?
As the existing survey now, agreed upon property line, so that in the future, somebody looking through that record card will see that the survey on this date was this
Okay.
property line.
Yeah.
That's all, that's
Allison?
the only reason why I'm even speaking to the board.
Yeah,
Just
sure, we
explain
got
the
it.
typical process, well, the applicant that, if this were to be approved, the subdivision, the applicant then.
Makes no difference to me what you.
Well, I'm just explaining the process, but then they would choose to record it. And that would go into land evidence records, public records, but if the applicant who records it.
Right, but would it go in the record card for my property?
Well, it's.
Because you're in a butter, it would be the edge of your property, so.
The record card that you found is correct, right?
It had the old survey. Wasn't stamped, wasn't signed. I didn't realize it was done by South Cone Engineering, or it was on to him. But I did end up going back and reconstructing what I thought was the correct line. And when I brought it to the attention of Neil's engineering company, they took the time to investigate it and to come to the new conclusion that this in fact is the property line. I'm not gonna pay any more money to have my property surveyed. All I'm asking is,
Your deed has a survey.
it has meets and bounds and a legal description, yeah.
Okay, and
Sure.
that deed and the survey in that deed matches this line now. Engineering, correct?
does, yes.
Okay.
Great.
So all this will be part of the record, including that survey, your testimony, your statements will be on the
My
record.
concern,
It will be all on the
Yeah.
record, and everything before you is part of the record for
Yeah,
that
I
property.
mean, if I hadn't seen that old survey, none of this would have taken place. It all would have been resolved in December with me losing 7 feet of my land.
Well,
I
again,
don't know.
that's one of the reasons why we just, this is one of the
We'd have
reasons
done
that
another
abutters are
administrative
notified.
change too.
They were taking 7 feet of my land and incorporating. it.
Right, but it's corrected now.
Then we would have corrected it again, though.
Pardon?
We would have corrected that again. So this old historical areas, surveys.
This
have
is all
been-
part of the Simbat property. Went from Market Street to the
Right.
river. It was all owned by one family.
And old surveys are
That's
notoriously
why
not
this thing
correct.
is probably going through this process now. It's being chopped up
Mhm.
and, do we have confidence that this is correct?
Yes, I mean, based on the evidence presented to us, that's the decision we're looking at. If you're contesting it, you know.
No, I only contested the old.
Okay, and that's what I'm saying. So as Ben said, your concerns are on the record. This will be entered into the land evidence records. So that will be the edge of their property and your property at this point. So,
And I'm hoping it also goes into the card that's kept on file, so that
correct. Okay,
somebody
great.
20
So,
years from now can
yeah,
figure
so
out what's
you,
going on.
what you're asking for, we will have.
Great.
At this point, anybody else? Okay, I'll make a motion to accept this, but it's based on.
Mr. Chair, if I may, a motion to close the public hearing first.
Okay, yeah. Could I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion.
Second.
Ashley, second. Jenny, all in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, if I may again, sorry. So the board has to address the two applications before you for the variances, dimensional variances. One is for number 8 Palmer Avenue, and the other was for number 9 Palmer Avenue. A decision has to be made with to approve conditionally or deny these applications for the dimensional relief presented.
Okay, so we would have two motions, one
You
for
can
each.
you can do it either or, because this is part of the unified approach, certainly, but it's two applications, so if you want to do it separately, you can. If you want to do it together, that's also.
Would there be any
acceptable.
reason why we would do it separately?
No,
Okay,
no.
then let's do it as one.
I would motion to approve the variances based on pre-existing conditions.
For number 8 Palmer Avenue and number 9 Palmer Avenue,
Palmer.
as
Correct.
presented in the application.
Exactly.
That's a good condition.
Okay.
Will we add the condition on to fix a verbiage of the shared
And
driveway?
the condition is to take out that shared driveway language in the site plan that we were presented with.
Mr. Chair, if I also, there's a motion on the floor now. Let me just backfill some findings here.
Yes,
That's okay, that the motion is based on the hardship from the applicant, and that is, the relief that he's seeking is due to the unique characteristics of the subject land or structure, not the surrounding area, is not due to a physical or economic disability of the applicant. The hardship is not the result of any prior action by the applicant. And finally, granting the requested variance will not alter the general character surrounding the area or impair the intent of the purpose of the zoning ordinance or comprehensive plan. And additionally, if the variance is not granted, it will amount to more than a mere inconvenience.
correct. So with those findings of fact, and the motion is to approve the variances as presented, and as Blake indicated as well, to take out the language of the shared driveway within the plan that would be presented and be signed off by me at some point in the near future. So, second to that motion?
Second.
Second, Jenny, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Mr.
You're
Chair-
golden.
Mr. Chair, now you have to address the minor subdivision application before you. This is the second part of the
Oh,
application.
Because it's
in
a
terms of.
unified-
Yeah, just the change in the lot lines.
Okay,
Approve the variances, you just approve variances and then after that.
so motion to accept the reconfigured lot lines?
Correct. Yeah. Based on the following, Mr. Chair, that based on the testimony and the evidence presented on the record, that the proposed development is consistent with the comp plan, or where it's inconsistent has been satisfactorily addressed. The proposed development complies with the zoning ordinance. The development will not cause significant negative environmental impacts. The subdivision will not create lots of physical constraints that would make development impractical. And finally, the subdivision have adequate permanent physical access to a public street.
All of which it meets.
Correct.
So, I'll make that motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Jenny, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. The work is done here.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for your work, sir. On your own behalf, but it certainly
Did it
helps us.
myself.
That's great, thank you.
But I appreciate your acknowledging.
Yeah, that's-
Nobody
Okay.
ever said sorry, though. I heard a sorry.
Well, I'm not gonna say I'm sorry. I didn't do anything
I was gonna
wrong.
say.
Well, stuff happens, The decision making, building inspectors who allow, commercial development and residential section. Ended up on a bunch of times here.
Folks, there's still a meeting going on.
Yeah. Nightmare. Okay, a quick update on Settlers Green. There was a technical review committee that was held last week. I attended, as did all of the members of the relevant town staff. Allison as well. Yeah, can you folks just move that outside here? Yeah. So it was the one that we'll be hearing, Allison was there. There will be a memo on the TRC sent out to you prior to the Settlers Green meeting. We're not going to talk about Settlers Green. This is just an update on where the process is. And that application is coming back to us after having been, our denial for that application was rejected by the Superior Court. So we are now looking at a preliminary plan of Settlers Green at the next time, at our next meeting. And beyond that, I would caution you not to speak. We can speak one-on-one to each other about events in here, but we cannot have blanket discussions. You can't use email and express your thoughts or feelings about this to the group at large. That's a violation of the open meetings law. If you haven't had ethics training, that will be a condition of serving on the board. It already is. It can be done online. It can be done live. But it's very helpful to know this stuff because your natural inclination is to talk about it, particularly when you have something that's highly controversial. But we need to be very careful that we're not putting ourselves in a position where an applicant or the opposition could take anything that we say outside of this meeting as being prejudicial to either the applicant or to the opposition. And in a case like this, we have to be even more careful because our original denial was refused. So it's silence is golden in this one. And as Rick mentioned, I anticipate that the engineering study that the town is doing will potentially be done by February, but if it's not, in all likelihood, the applicant would ask for a continuance again, because they're not going to come to us without having reviewed the evidence. So that's what it is. And the good news is that the clock, they've agreed to the fact that the clock doesn't start ticking, which then puts pressure on us to be able to come up with a decision within a period of time. So that's that. I know that the town is still looking at planning directors, applicants for the planning director position, but Allison, who is well known to all of us, is sitting in for Settlers Green, at least as long as we don't have a planning director.
You're a saint.
We'll get you.
Yeah, and all of the applications up until that time. So that's where we stand. So I'll have a motion to adjourn. Sorry.
Administrative matters?
Yep. A public comment, nobody's here. Administrative matters, discussion and action on Haley Santos resignation letter for secretary. That's
Oh,
something that
my,
you would have
yes.
to-
Oh, I'm sorry. Jeez, yeah. I lost it in my shuffle of papers. So Haley has had a baby and doesn't, sees that serving as secretary of the Warren Planning Board would be a little onerous in terms of her responsibilities as a new mom. The good news is that Alyssa, who has served us wonderfully in Haley's absence, is interested in the job, and can think of no better candidate for us. So if you folks are agreeable, I'd make a motion to have Alyssa Oswald appointed as our secretary for the planning board moving forward. I have a second. Second, Tyler, all in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Oh, don't tell me.
Again, you're a saint too.
Yeah, I'll get the jazz music ready.
No, I'll bring an electric guitar next time if I want the feedback, so.
I had the parade music, for
Yeah.
the celebration in place.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't think we were gonna have theme music for presentations, but hey. So anything else?
Well, you've got election of officers or nomination of officers on the agenda, but I thought we took care of that last year.
We do, but it has to be done every year.
But it was done in like November,
Yeah, it's
December.
supposed to be, yes. It's it's for 2025.
For the calendar year?
Yeah, correct.
So we could do it at the next meeting. Because,
Yeah,
Michael's
I'll read
not
the
here.
minutes just to make sure back in November that this is procedurally correct and that we did, because I believe we did nominate people.
yeah,
in
Yeah,
2025.
and Michael's not here and he's.
Right.
Would be vice
Let's
chair.
continue the matter to next month. I'll read the minutes just to make sure that this has been handled. If not, we will address it.
I make a motion to continue that matter until next month.
okay, second that. All in favor? Aye.
Okay.
Anything else? Okay, we're out of here.
All right.
Motion to adjourn,
Motion.
second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Wow.
That was already.
I wanted to go on record.
Very simple.
It's